Hello, I am Lisa, and first I want to welcome you to our webinar today. I'm here with Tyler, and Tyler works on the sales and controller side of the business. Hello, Tyler.
Hey Lisa, how are you?
Good. Tyler and I will be discussing ways to use Maximus Solution to help increase flock performance and profitability. Before we get started, I have one housekeeping item, and that is if you do have questions, please type those questions in the Q&A section. You'll see that on your bar there. And we will get to those at the end of the webinar. If we can't get to them live, if we run out of time, we will email you personally and get back to you. And with that, I will get started. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background on Maximus. Maximus is a global company with headquarters in Montreal, Canada, and our US office is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Maximus has a deep history in agriculture dating back to 1990. Our core markets today are poultry, swine, dairy, and greenhouses or horticulture. Controlling the environment to help increase profitability is at the core of what we do. The strength of Maximus network lies in a combination of independent dealers operating on a global scale. Today, we have over 8,000 master controllers installed in livestock and greenhouse facilities worldwide. In collaboration with producers, Maximus develops scalable, simple, and effective solutions to increase profitability, promote sustainability, and protect your business. We have two sides of the business. One is the blue side or the controller side. The other is what we refer to as the green side or the production software side. Both systems can work independently or work together for what we call the Maximus solution. We will demonstrate today how both of these systems can help increase flock performance and profitability. Now I'm going to toss the presentation over to Tyler, who will talk with us more about the Maximus controller and how that can help producers increase profitability. I will be back after Tyler to talk with you about Maximus software.
Thanks, Lisa. Again, welcome everybody to the webinar today. My name, like Lisa said, is Tyler Lesh, and I am a poultry regional sales manager here in the United States for Maximus. I want to first kind of thank everybody for taking a few minutes of your busy day to spend with us on the webinar. So to kick things off, I want to talk a little bit about the Maximus interface. So what we are viewing here is what we call the home screen of our controller. It's built with user friendliness in mind. It's very intuitive to use and kind of resembles apps on a smartphone. So most everybody today is familiar with a similar layout if they're using a smartphone. As an example, you know, we have icons. If you click on that icon, it's going to take you further into the settings of that controller or for that specific area of the controller. Down along the bottom, there's a navigation toolbar. So we have a back button to go to the previous page. There's a home button to jump straight to the home screen. Several other icons here, one for logging into other Maximus controllers on the local network. Any available updates are shown here, and then any active alarms will be shown with the alarm bell down here. So one of the I guess large benefits to our interface in the Maximus system overall is the remote access component. So what you're seeing here and what I'm sharing with you is a real farm. This producer gave us permission to show this controller today. So this is his live farm. I'm in a different state from where that farm is at on a computer viewing his farm. So how you view the controller in a control room on the farm is the exact same as how you can view it with a smartphone, tablet, or computer. To kind of kick things off, I want to first start with our barn overview icon. So this is kind of the bread and butter of the control. And what it is it's a customized page that a grower can make to display all the equipment on the farm that we're controlling, all of their sensors, bird scales, bin scales, flock information like bird age, mortality. It's a one-stop shop that a producer can walk into their farm or view it remotely and immediately see what's going on inside that environment. If I jump to a different page, I think there's some stir fans running here. So if you look at this icon, we have a fan blade that's spinning. So all of these icons have some animation to let us know that that equipment is being called to run. And then our relays are unique in that they have an amp monitoring capability. So when that motor or that load is actually running, we can verify that with the amp draw that's shown. The last thing that I'll mention here is that all of these icons are quick links to navigate through the controller. So if I touch or click on, say, a heater, it's going to take me right to the heater settings where I'm going to make that change. So it saves time and it increases, I guess, performance in a way if a grower has time to go do something else and he can look at that overview and know exactly what might be wrong or if everything's checking out and is okay. So moving on, we're gonna go through a few of these icons together and kind of explain what they are. So first is set point. It's got its own icon because it's important. Some of you may know it as target temperature. Pretty straightforward. We can set up a fixed target temperature for the environment or use a ramping curve. So depending on your production type, it's as easy as checking the box to use the curve. And then you're displayed with the table along the bottom. You enter in your animal ages and then the corresponding temperature that you want to maintain at those ages. And then what the Maximus does is creates your curve. So it's plotted here. If we cursor over, we can see where those bend points actually lie. A couple things, I'm going to switch houses to demonstrate this, but a couple things to note here. We have a temporary offset feature. So if you input a plus or minus temperature, you can hold above or below this curve indefinitely for the life of the flock. So if you need to make a seasonal adjustment without changing everything, or you walk in and the house feels stuffy, you can make that adjustment on the fly. Additionally, we have programs within the control, custom programs. So in this case, he has a brood and a grow out. Maybe this is a summer ventilation and a winter ventilation program. He can have different curves, more bend points, and different programs for his ventilation. Moving on to ventilation in and of itself, there's an entire icon for it, which is our blue fan. We'll start with ventilation stages and go through that briefly. There's a lot that we can cover here. The idea is that we have sidewall stages and then tunnel modes, and it's dependent upon how your farm is equipped, the size of your houses, your type of production, all of those things. But we have a manual mode. If we click into this, we see that we can create and preset manual modes and name them. So if, for example, you want to have some manual modes already set up for when you're catching birds, or maybe you're doing a house clean out or litter management, you can have a preset manual mode to run ventilation. Next would be minimum ventilation. So very important, especially from a broiler standpoint or breeder standpoint, spending most of your time in min vent. So right away we have these tabs at the top for easy navigation. You're going to just decide what fans you want to run in that stage. Then you're going to determine a few other things. With variable speed fans, we have a few more capabilities, but the two that are most commonly used would be this increasing the on time of a fan as the room temperature increases, and then having an animal age curve for your timer fans. So if you have a 5-minute cycle timer fan, you can have that adjust based on animal age. So again, just automating all of your ventilation and kind of fine tuning things to increase performance. Inlets or curtains tab, very straightforward. If you've got attic inlets, sidewall inlets, curtains, tunnel doors, whatever it may be, we can control them. As simple as telling them how you want them to work in that given stage, and then assigning a range for static pressure in that stage to drive that. Once you assign that range, the Maximus is going to do the rest. So if we move back a couple pages, we're going to move on to heaters next. Heating is obviously a critical component to any poultry operation. Right away, we're seeing our heater outputs, the settings for that, and some runtime or history. Two main things I want to point out is that we have the ability to check box these heaters and call them empty zones. So this can be very convenient if you are partial house brooding or just want to hold heaters from coming on and save some money on gas. If we click into these individual heater outputs, I'm not going to change his settings, but we have a ramping on start stop feature. So this would allow you to create a custom on and off set point, or offset rather, based on the animal age. So again, kind of a fine tuning type feature that a grower can use to mitigate the use of LP gas or natural gas on a farm and reduce some costs. Next, we'll talk briefly on cooling. So whether that's misting systems or evaporative cooling systems. Very, very straightforward: to start and stop temperature, the time it's allowed to run, and some runtime history. And we'll point out that on all these pages, your current main set point is displayed too. So that comes in handy when determining when I want these things to come on and when I want them to go off. But if we click into the cool cell, for example, multitude of features once again, and very intuitive verbiage here with the check boxes to tell you exactly how that's going to function. Some overrides, if you will, on minimum animal age, restricting on outside temperature. The main thing here to note is that we can run on a cycle time or restrict on and off time, basically up to you and how you determine you want to cool your birds. I'm going to bounce back a few pages back to the home screen. Next, we'll cover feed and water management. They go hand in hand. So the feed management is our bin icon here. And within feed management, there's several things that we can do. The first would be electronic load cells underneath your feed bins. So, for tracking real-time inventories on the farm, this is a great tool. We can send alarms for critical low levels of feed, and really help someone pin down, when they want to order feed or when they need to order feed. All of your incoming or bin augers, all of the feed lines within that house. And then some more advanced features that we have would be our electronic feed drops in addition to the feed scales. So, really, I mean, it could be a completely automated system in the way that you say, I've got this many birds in a pen, or I've got this many hoppers in the house, and I want to send an exact amount of feed to that hopper or to that pen. We can do it on a per head basis, have it automatically scheduled to weigh up feed and batch it out or send it out to drops, all remotely. For the sake of time today, we'll just touch on feed lines. So when we click on that icon, it's going to expand what feed lines are programmed. In this case, it's only two relay outputs. We click on that output, we see the clock or the basic settings to run it. And then the settings tab is where we gain a lot of features. So we can differentiate ourselves from other systems in that all of our relays monitor amps. So this gives us the ability to set maximum run times. We can turn on alarms when a feed line is stopped for too long or doesn't run long enough. So these sort of alarms that a producer could receive go a long ways in preventing feed outages and mitigating that risk of animals not having feed or going off feed. Same with the load cells, right? I mean, we can really prevent any feed outage events if we know exactly how much feed is in those bins and view it remotely. We all know that, especially on the broiler side, keeping feed in front of those chickens is what it's all about. So, you know, from a feed standpoint, lots of cool settings to improve your performance and profitability at the end of the day. So water management goes, you know, hand in hand with feed, and we do have an icon for that. What we see here is a water icon, which would be your counter or meter, and then a water valve icon, which would be an electronic solenoid for restricting water. Other things that we can do include monitoring water pressure, water quality, water on demand, smart dosing with a dosatron medicator. For today, we're just going to touch on the water component. So similar to feed, when I click on that water icon, I see the water meters that are connected in that house. So in this case, we have two, they're paired. So when I click on that meter, what I'm seeing here is alarm settings. And again, this is a tool for that grower, basically to say, hey, send me an alarm if I have low consumption, or send me an alarm if I have a water spill. So for those of you that are in production or familiar with production, very critical things here. It would be great to know if we have low consumption and our birds go off water. Would also be great to know if we're flooding a house and ruining the litter in a house, or spilling water everywhere. So kind of moving on from the ventilation, feed, and water stuff. Next on my list is power management. So this controller has a generator connected to it. Within our power management icon, we can connect to generators. We can connect to transfer switches, and this is where we would control and monitor our prevention modules. So we'll click on his generator icon. Right away, we see its name, some of its parameters. You'll have to excuse me, it's a new farm, so he doesn't have any data built up on the generator yet, but you know, here soon, you know, he'll begin to see its last runtime, its total runtime. You know, here's a list of engine parameters such as its current temperature, operating RPMs, oil pressure of that engine. So what we're doing here, the idea is to constantly be monitoring the health of that generator. Every farm, every specification that I know of these days requires a standby or backup generator. And if we're connected to it, we can monitor these parameters. We can set custom alarms, as you see here. So you can set a low and a high level. And in addition to this, we can sync up the exercise or test schedules of these generators with the generator itself, and do that on a daily, weekly, or monthly schedule. So again, a grower, an integrator, whoever can receive a report on this and say, hey, I failed my generator test, and get an immediate alarm and know that there's an issue with the generator. This also goes a long ways with auditing. You know, checking generators is part of a standard audit procedure on most farms. If you have records, you can prove that, hey, my generator is up to snuff. It's doing what it needs. So that's the main thing here is how do we better manage that and view it remotely, even in real time? What is my generator currently doing? So if there is a problem, we can reduce the risk of animal. As we begin to conclude here, we're gonna move into alarm management. So when we click on alarm management, it's an alarm icon or alarm bell icon. Active alarms is going to be the same thing we see when we click on this alarm bell here. Just any active alarms, and it gives you a place to acknowledge those. Alarm history says that the last 100 alarm events. If someone were to need to retrieve more, we can do that. And then alarm settings. So this is where the main settings are determined. The grower comes into the alarm settings and says, hey, this is what I want my low and high temperature alarm set point to be. I can get alarms on humidity, my static pressure alarms, and so on. So the main thing I want to point out here is that we have a comprehensive list in this left-hand column of everything that we can alarm for. And then it's as easy as checking the boxes for how you would want to receive that alarm. So in this case, this would be a text or an email alarm. If we check this, it's a call alarm. And that's one of the great things about the Maximus system is that there's a form of redundancy built in. So if you have an internet connection alarm and a phone line to our dialer, you could lose one or the other and still receive that alarm. And they're constantly monitoring each other to verify those connections and make sure that an alarm would get out in the worst case. So if we jump from alarms, we're gonna move on quickly to module diagnostics. So this is kind of a place where anyone that's involved in the use of the controller can come to verify communication between all of the boards and the brain of the controller. We want to see 100% here all the time. And then you can also do some other cool things with viewing inputs and their current status, viewing outputs. So this is every single relay in the controller, what it's currently doing, the current switch position, the temperature of that relay, and then some parameters to really micromanage the amp draw through that relay. I do also want to mention that we have some biosecurity features. I'm not able to show them on this control, but we do offer an RFID card reader that connects to the controller. And what that does is it allows or restricts access for human movement on the farm. We can pair that with the controller, and we can pair that with our Maximus software. A company can input their biosecurity SOPs into the software, assign downtimes to each user's card, and create access schedules. So again, a great feature for tracking human movement, auditing purposes, and ultimately protecting the health of your flocks in a very kind of critical and dangerous time that we're in with this AI situation. So if you've got questions, we'd love to have questions on the biosecurity stuff, and we can get back to you on that with more details. I apologize, I can't show it today, but the next and the last thing real quick would be report building. So we have an icon for reports. A lot of our history is done in the way of custom reports. So here's a list of reports in this controller. You can come here, create, delete, edit a report at your leisure. And then what you can do is you can post them locally on this controller for farm service techs or the producer to view. Or we can automate and have those scheduled to be sent out on a whatever frequency you'd want them. So I'll show that report here in the overview. So we've been viewing the overviews with the house. If we come down here, we have a temp history as an example. Here's a temperature history for his farm with animal age, most recent date, and the temperature for every house. One other great one would be water history or bird scale. So real quickly, water history. Again, there's a report for it. So this is going to wrap up my part of the webinar. I know I went a little bit long, but this is going to segue into what Lisa Butler on our software team is going to talk about next. So with this, I hope that you all learned a little bit about what our capabilities are here with the Maximus controller and how they can help a producer improve their on-farm efficiencies and profitability. So with that, I'll let you take it away with the poll question, Lisa. Thank you.
Everyone, I do have a poll question here for you, and thank you, Tyler. My poll question today is, how are you tracking your production and flock closeout? It looks like the majority of the people are using either a manual system using spreadsheets, and then we have about 31% using other. All right, we are going to get started. Hi, Lisa here, back to talk with you about how producers are using Maximus software to help enhance flock performance and increase profitability. Maximus software is a cloud-based system designed to help optimize production and increase profitability. We have many standard reports available, as well as the ability to customize reports to meet your needs. Maximus software features have you covered from flock planning, daily flock management, mobile data acquisition, feed ordering, to closeout reporting. We have it all. Maximus software can work with or without Maximus controllers. If you do have a Maximus controller, we can seamlessly integrate all of your Maximus controller data, such as inventory, mortality, feed, water, and so on. Having an integrated solution with your controller data saves a lot of time re-entering flock production information, and you'll be able to monitor your data in real time. Who doesn't want or like real-time accurate data? Maximus software has production modules for all phases of production. I will give you examples from several of these modules, but not all. If you have an interest in other modules that I don't cover today, please reach out to me and we can schedule a call to discuss those. It's important to understand that each module is customized based on the customer demands or needs, and modules can be combined. Example, for most of our customers that use our broiler module, they also use our enterprise module. However, we do have customers that just subscribe to our enterprise module. Now let's dive into a few examples of these, and I'll talk with you about the core features and functions that help enhance flock performance and increase your profitability. Flock management is at the core of what we do. In this example, this is our flock management page. You can see that we track all aspects of your flock, such as the site or house, square footage, categories, breeds, the number planned, target weights, density, feed budgets, production type, and so on. You'll see that this is divided into sections for easy viewing. You'll see properties, production data, and feed budgets are what I've chosen to display here today. Next, I want to share with you what our mobile flock management looks like. You can access this data from any device that you have an internet connection on. So phones, tablets, iPhones, whatever you have with an internet connection. This mobile application works online and offline. This is the application that growers or production folks use to enter and monitor the data in real time. When I click on See the Barn, you can see everything about this flock at your fingertips. Using this flock, I'll demonstrate how bird death loss events are tracked within Maximus. Growers enter the data into the mobile application, and then if I click here on this little icon, you will see that we break out the data by week on feed, and you'll also see it by reason, and then here are the individual events. This is a quick example of how user-friendly and interactive our mobile application is. Everything you need is at your fingertips. Today, how do you track your key production indicators? Are you tracking your flock performance in real time? This is an example of a real-time dashboard with some real-time broiler data. As you can see, you'll see red, yellow, and green. The yellow, in example on row 1 there, is the difference between the minimum inside temperature and the maximum inside temperature. If there's a 10 to 15 degree difference, it's going to be in yellow. If it is over 15 degree difference, you're going to see it in red, like you do down here in the lower section. All of this data that you see here is coming in directly from your Maximus, from the Maximus controller, with the exception of death loss. Those events are being entered into the mobile application. So again, this is seamless dashboards integrated with the controller data. These types of dashboards and reports not only help with team communication, but they are also used to increase flock performance, which ultimately increases profitability. This is a really quick example of a customized layer KPI. This customer uses Maximus mobile app and to enter their laid eggs information, but then all of this other information is either being calculated or comes in directly from their Maximus controller. Again, having an integrated system saves time by not having to enter the data in multiple databases. It's also making it more timely and more accurate. Data is great, but we can make it even better to get you what you need when you need it. We have many standard reports to choose from. Again, and it looks like we do have a couple of questions. And I think I'm going to start with a question that we have on the software side, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Tyler. We've got a couple on the controller side that I'm going to throw over to Tyler. So the first question on the software side is, what feed mill software does Maximus integrate with? We have about 20 different feed mill software that we integrate with. The most popular are probably Feed Mill Manager, Feed Office Pro, and then what I call our standard CSV file. So it's a very simple file with just the diets and the amounts and the costs on there. So again, we have about 20 or so different feed mill that we integrate with. If you want to know more about that, go ahead and send me a message or with your software, and I can let you know if that's what if we already have something written for that. And then next, I'm going to throw it over to Tyler. I'll actually make Tyler the host, so maybe you can show a couple of these things. We've got a question about bird scales, and then we've got a question about remote access.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Gemar, I believe is how you would pronounce that. Forgive me if I'm wrong. He asked, what is the ratio of weigh scale in an aviary house? So I'm not sure if he wants to know information on the bird scale or the bin scales, but shoot us another chat, Gemar, and maybe we can help you out there. Or we'll follow up if you want to email us directly on that. And then another question here, what other equipment is needed for remote access and data transfer? Good question. From a hardware standpoint, the remote access capability is built into the Maximus controller brain. So like the one that you see here behind me, that would be mounted in your control room, has an Ethernet connection port on the back of the door. So you provide an internet service connection to the master and you're good to go. Yeah, so that's remote access and data transfer. That also takes care of any internet based alarms as well. So good question. Looks like we have a few more that just came in here. Jeff asks, where do I go to get more information on Maximus prevention? I believe our website has some good links and information for that. Lisa, maybe you can chime in and help me there.
Yeah. You can either reach out to your dealer that you work with or your Maximus representative that you work with, and we can get you more information on prevention.
Gerardo asks, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so
I was going to move on to the next one unless you were
going. So the next one is there's a question about is there a way to connect Maximus software with GSI Edge controllers? If they have an API available, yes, we can connect to that. I'm not familiar with whether they do or not. Otherwise, that's why we've developed the mobile application, is so that people can directly enter the data in their mobile application. So that's another way we can do that. And then I have another one from John Waldner. Does Maximus software integrate with Easy Automation? Yes, it does. We definitely interface with Easy Automation. It's definitely one of the feed mill softwares that we do integrate with. And then I'm going to throw this next one back over to you, Tyler. From Jeff.
Jeff asks, can a barn be zoned using multiple water meters, one per row of cages and its population, for example? Absolutely, it can be. If you have the equipment, if you have the water meters, and available inputs in the controller, they can be paired with head counts for sure.
Well, great. I think we're going
I
to need
have one
to
more. I've
cut
got
it.
one more here.
Do we have one more? Okay.
Yeah,
I think we'll
Nicholas,
do
real
one more and
quickly,
then
and
we'll cut it off
the
just for time's
the
sake.
rest we'll have to ask you all
Yeah.
to send those in. Can you set the CO2 set point to ventilate below temp set point? I have not been able to do this. I will need to check the latest update, Nicholas, on that. Currently, none of my customers use CO2 influence as their primary means of ventilation, but we will definitely follow up. So we'll get back with you. Good question.
Well, that is great. And again, if you you have some more questions, go ahead and type those in there and we can get back to you after the webinar. Just to wrap things up, I want to thank you all again for attending today and have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.